Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be attempting to make a 25-pound vessel. Gonna have a fun time. This is my first time making a piece this big. I was very excited about it because when I first started doing pottery, I don't know why, but I'm just so attracted to larger pieces. I was telling my team lead this the other day, like I just envision myself with my large pieces sitting in front of them with my legs crossed, taking a gorgeous artist photo, like look at my big giant pieces. So I'm very excited to be at this point, to be attempting to make such a big piece. I'm very excited about it. The method I've decided to use for this first attempt is throwing multiple sections of the piece and then attaching them together. I split the 25-pound up by an 11-pound, a 10-pound, and then a 4-pound. So I was gonna throw it like that. I had in mind to make something with a narrow base, kind of broader shoulders, belly-ish area, and then coming back into a narrow neck. If you haven't noticed on some of my things, I love a narrow neck. I don't know why, but that's the method I decided to use. I decided to use this method because this first time around, I wanted to try to get as much height as possible, and I felt like that would be easier to do if I did in sections, because I felt like if I just threw a full 25 pounds, along the way I would probably have a hard time pulling some of the clay up from the bottom. I wouldn't be able to get as tall as I wanted to, and also I felt like it would be a bit easier on my body, so I decided to go with this way to see how it turns out. I'll be trying different methods as I try to continue to make larger pieces, but this is just the way I wanted to start with. So yeah, here's my process. Enjoy. So I started off the second section the same as I would start off any other piece, but something that I did do differently with this section is I threw it floorless. So pretty much I'm digging my hand all the way down and there's going to be no clay at the bottom. It's just going to be the bat, and then the walls, the sides of the clay are coming up. And let me tell you, that was a mistake. When I would see people making section pieces and I would see them throwing like any other section of the piece besides the base with the floor, I would think, why are they doing that? Because they would go ahead and just cut the floor off anyway when they attach the piece. So I was like, I feel like, maybe that's a waste. Like, you can use that clay to get more height. Like, I'm a little bit height crazy. I want taller pieces. So I'm like, why are they doing that? So when I was making my middle section, I did it without a floor. And like I mentioned before, it was a mistake, because that clay floor really grounds your piece and allows for a lot more manipulation of the walls. And that was some grounding support that I really needed, especially for the shape that I was going for. Like I mentioned before, I wanted a narrower neck, and then I wanted like a wider shoulder and belly. And when you look at the piece, if you look at it, it's kind of, I'm working on it upside down. So that narrow neck is at the bottom, and then you have that wider belly at the top. So it's already off balance, and then you don't have a clay floor down there to help support it. And then on top of that, you have all this weight at that top, and then you're gonna have to think about the joints of where you're connecting those pieces later. So if that weight is heavier, it's gonna put some stress on that joint. So I just wasn't able to do as much as I wanted to. And when I throw kind of narrower based pieces, a lot of times I find like I have thicker walls down there, so I go in and I kind of just chop off the excess clay. But I couldn't really do that because I needed as much thickness of those walls down there as I could have to support my shaping. So I was like, next time I shall throw that middle section with the clay floor. I feel like maybe if I was just doing a straight up cylinder, or if I was going for like a wider base, narrower at the top, if I was able to do that, I wouldn't have needed the floor. But in this case, this time around, I really needed it. So that's a sticky note that I'm keeping for next time. Okie dokie. So now I'm prepping that base to be attached to the middle section. If you see here, I was a little bit overzealous. I was ready to attach it right away, but I was like, maybe I should let it dry a little bit. So then I brought out a heat gun, and actually this is a mistake. It's a grave mistake, and I'll explain it a bit later. I think this time around it really didn't do too much because I put the heat gun on a bit, but it didn't really dry out that much. It was still relatively kind of moist, but the heat gun is a mistake, and I'll explain a little bit later. I did a bit of scoring because I really wanted both pieces to take together as much as possible. Like I mentioned before, it wasn't like they were super dry or anything like that. I just really wanted to ensure it. And now for the moment of truth. Dun, da, da, da. Let us attach. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I'm like struggling. I'm like, what does this say? Ooh. Poop. Yay. They're connected, right? They're attached, right? So I was really nervous about that joint. So I took firm scraps of clay to kind of act as a core to reinforce it. I don't think taking those wet scraps were a good idea. In my mind, I was like, they're about the same consistency as the clay on there. So I felt like they would kind of marry into the family a bit nicely if they were pretty much about the same moisture. But when I think about it again in my head, I'm like, does that even make sense? You want support. So what is this kind of wet clay gonna do for your support? I don't know. I just felt like it's gonna make things thicker. It's gonna make things more supported, right? Wrong. As you can see, things are going astray, and you can probably predict that things will be going down quite a rocky path. I feel like it's harder to see that though when you're up close. Like as I'm sitting back now and I'm watching it back, I can see like, baby, you going down a rocky ride, you know? You're going down a real rocky road. But I'm up close on a piece. I don't know that's happening. I'm just seeing kind of lumps. I'm like, am I shaping this wrong? What's going on? Here's when I'm starting to see like, oh. And I'm thinking in my head like, maybe if I hold it up and blow the dryer, I can get it to firm up. But I was like, there was no saving it, bro. Very sad. Wow. I'm still like trying to see if I can save it. I'm trying to see if I can save it. I can't save it. It's done. It's gone. It has to come off. Now, you probably think she probably cried like a little girl and was sad about her loss. I almost did. I was like, oh, I kind of wanted to cry a little bit. I wanted to tear up a little bit. But I was like, no. After that, a fire was lit under my butt. And I was like, you know what? I'm getting a piece. Like, I'm not stopping here. At first, I was just going to probably try to make this little bottom section as a piece of its own. But I said, no. You know what? No. This clay is trying to play with me. And I'm ready to play back. Okay? So I sat down and I pretty much just prep this base again to attach another piece. I kind of took the weight at the bottom. Like I mentioned before, when I throw narrower bases and the wider tops, I end up having a lot towards the bottom, and I shaved off later, but now I kind of use that to add more height to kind of get my base as tall as I can before adding that next piece again. So I'm just using that clay and pulling up and shaping it again. So in the meantime, in between time, I went ahead and threw my remaining 2 sections. I figured you guys already saw me throw the first 2 anyway. It was about the same concept. As you see, we lost a lot of size. So I used that third piece from before, which was the 4-pound that was supposed to be the neck. I used that to throw this middle section. And then I had some like recycled clay left over. It was about 3 pounds. I used it to throw the neck. And we're back at it again for round 2 of attaching our pieces. I mentioned earlier that I used the heat gun, and I felt like that was a mistake. I didn't know it was a mistake quite yet till this time around. So when my piece collapsed the first time, I was like, okay, maybe it was just too wet and the joints were just too wet. I should dry it up as much as possible. So this time I really kind of heat gunned it to get it quite stiff. I was thinking to myself, yep, that'll do it. That'll strengthen that joint. That'll keep things together. That'll keep things from collapsing. I was kind of like indecisive of where I wanted to start. I was like, should I hurry up and join the middle part, or should I hurry up and try to distribute the weight at the top, at that kind of like getting into the neck area? Because it's kind of thick there. I don't know if you see, but it's way thicker than the rest of the consistency of the clay. So I was like, I don't know why, but I was thinking if I distributed it, it wouldn't feel as heavy on the joints. I don't know. That's just kind of my thought process. But I guess all that weight is sitting on top of it anyway. I don't know. That's just what I was thinking in my head. So just to be on the safe side, I went ahead and just started going for the neck and just distributing that weight just to make me feel a little bit better. Here I am again, adding those extra pieces of clay to the joints as if they're coils. I really don't know how useful this is in this case. I think I need to hand build more because I feel like that will give me more insights on working with separate pieces of clay and bringing them together to be one, and I could say more intimate regard and relationship between the clays. Like you can work with pieces to attach handles to cups, etc., which I really don't make a lot of mugs, so I don't do much of, but I feel like making bigger pieces and kind of just understanding that chemistry of separate pieces of clay and how they come together, I think I should get a better understanding of that. So I may try to do a bit more hand building. I don't really do much hand building. I love that wheel. I love sitting on that wheel, but I'm gonna challenge myself to do some more hand building in the future. Okay, so here I am trying to blend things together, trying to blend out that kind of coil that I did and shape things out a bit. This right here is where I start to learn that using that heat gun was a bad idea. It was very hard to kind of move that clay together. It was. And I feel like the heat gun would have been kind of okay. Like if I just was done shaping, I made my 2 sections, I just wanted to attach them, maybe put a little bit of a coil, spread it out, and be done. But I still wanted to shape. Like when I look back on it, the shape was okay, but it wasn't a shape that I wanted, and tunnel vision got the best of me, and I still wanted to shape more. Like I said, I wanted more of a shoulder, I wanted more belly action, I really wanted a narrow neck. I love narrow necks, and I wanted to do a lot more shaping. So drying the piece up as much as I did was not a good idea. I thought I could kind of just add that water in and things would be fine and dandy. But in my mind, here's how I think about it. I think like it's not enough time to let all of that clay kind of homogenize. So if you kind of like, I don't know, so let's say you like close your eyes, and have you ever had like one of those shower straws that had filling on the inside? Think of it like the inverse, that the soft filling on the inside is actually on the outside and hard candy-ish pieces on the inside. So I'm like trying to move that soft candy up, but that hard piece on the inside, and it does not want to move, and it's having a hard time coming together. And that's kind of what happened here. I think what happened here, so I was like, dag nabbit, the shape is starting to get a little funky. I'm like, At this point, the shape doesn't look too bad. It still doesn't look too terrible, but you're gonna see in about like point something seconds that shape gonna get a little funky. It's gonna get a little funky. Look at that funky shape. It's like Frankenstein. And then look at me, tunnel vision, eyes focus, still going at it. Still not wanting to quit. There's something about pottery that there's a time when you need to just let that pottery, like you need to stop touching it and let it be, let it rest, okay? And I was just not ready. I got a little twerk in the neck. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to shape it back together. I'm so determined. This is not over yet, to be honest with you. I'm letting this piece sit right now and letting everything come together. And like I mentioned before, that hand building methodology would really come in handy. I'm gonna play around with it a bit when things are more dry, because if you see people hand build, you see them slapping the clay into shape. Like if you've ever seen those zisha teapots, or like some Korean hand building where it's like a mix of like wheel and hand building, they do a lot of that slapping. I'm gonna try to do that to get this shape. To get this shape nice. I'm so determined to get something nice out this piece. I'm so determined. Look at me. I'm like, wah. Thumbs down. But I'm very happy about the experience. I'm very happy about everything that I've learned this first time around. The next 25-pound attempt, I think I'm going to try to just throw the whole 25-pound piece as one. And I think after that, what I'll try to do is I've seen this method of coiling as you throw your cylinder. I don't know how to explain it, but you'll see it when I try it. But that's it, y'all. Thank you for coming along this tumultuous journey with me. See you all next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.